What's what's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, I am reviewing Annabelle, and I gotta say, Annabelle sucks. These not none. These Conjuring spinoffs all fucking suck. They have all sucked so far. Annabelle, I will say, is not as bad as the Nun movies, but it's pretty close. Like none of the characters I could get into. I didn't really need like a lot of people have said. I gotta agree with it. We didn't really need an origin story for the doll we see in Conjuring 2. I think it was no 1. Sorry, Conjuring 1. We didn't need to necessarily see that, and I just felt like this proves it. There was nothing in this movie, like none of the characters I really got into. Um, Mia and her family buy this doll. Weird shit starts happening. Even like if one scene involves a cult. I guess I'm assuming they were trying to make it like a Manson thing, but it was so bad because there was like these two cult members who kill their neighbor and then attack them, and then they get killed. And then yeah, weird shit starts happening. The movie is so hard to get into. It's just it had the problem with the Nun movies where it's just on and I'm just not into it. Like I just can't get into it. And I feel like the scares have the same problem. They're all just generic modern horror movie scares. Nothing special about the scares at all. So there's that. What else is there? The score isn't there. You don't like, I'm gonna say it again, you don't give a fuck about any of these characters. Mia or her husband Peter, I think is his name. You don't care about them. They're just there. We didn't need this. This really didn't need to be a movie. This just felt like a lot of these Conjuring spinoffs just feel like they got fucking started almost like huffing their own fucking ego and just felt like, oh, we can just make these movies and do what the fuck we want with them. And that's what happened because this didn't need to be a movie. Like this could have easily been some original story. You didn't need to tie it to Conjuring. So my advice really, I'm going to say it again, just watch the main 3 Conjuring movies. There's really no need to watch any of these spinoffs. I've been told, though, that Annabelle 2 or comes Creation and then Comes Home, which is the 3rd one, apparently those are better, but I wonder how much better, because Nun 2 really wasn't that much better than the first. I'd argue it's worse, so we'll see. But yeah, man, these Nun spinoffs just have not Nun. These Conjuring spinoffs have just all fucking sucked. They've just I can't get into them. It just reeks of cash grab. They felt like, well, people, will buy anything, and people love our Conjuring movies, so we'll just spin off like whatever. And it's just like, why? We didn't really need to see Annabelle. Like, why did I need to see Annabelle before the first Conjuring? No, I always looked at. Like, even watching those movies, Annabelle to me was just always like a little, like, I guess you want to use the word Easter egg. In a way, like, that's all it was to me. I didn't need to see her, like, get an actual what happened before the first Conjuring. I didn't need to see that. So, yeah, these Conjuring spinoffs just fucking suck, man. So, I've been told that the Insidious spinoffs are a little bit better. Like, so, there's at least that, so. But anyway, we'll see. I've been told that, like I said, Creation and the 3rd Annabelle are a bit better, but they're not by much, and also don't really justify their existence. Like, these movies didn't really need to happen. So, but anyway. So, Annabelle is like, I'd give it a 5. I mean, it being nice. 4.5. I'll be fair, 4.5. Because it's not a good movie, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But it's still not really good. So later, I don't know if it'll be in the evening. If not, I'll maybe in the morning again, like I did today. We'll see. But it'll be either in the morning, either in the evening or in the morning, like I did this video. I will be reviewing X-Men First Class. Also, I'm gonna be watching that new Godzilla show, Monarch. Legacy of Monsters, I think that's what it's called. So I'll be reviewing that. Not reviewing, but I'll be watching it, and I'll probably mention it, because I'm assuming, I figure I should be watching it before I review X-Men First Class. So I'll probably give a little mini review of that in that video. But anyway, let's get into it. So we kind of get, I think, basically get that scene from the first Conjuring again, where we see the Warrens talk to the family about Annabelle. And then we jump, like, and go back, like, I think a year later. And we meet Mia, who's pregnant, and her husband, John. Also, like The Nun, if you're gonna be making these movies should be fucking, like, adding to the lore, and they don't do that with this movie. It just, there's no lore to it. There's no lore to this shit at all. Which is actually kind of frustrating. Because it's like, if you're gonna, for me, I've always said, if you're gonna do spin-offs, you gotta add lore to the world you're spinning off of, and it just doesn't. It's like, you don't really care. It's like, weird shit starts happening, the mob is having, like, nightmares, and one night while sleeping, she hears the neighbors, the Higgins, and you can see them, like, really quick, like, in the corner, because the window's, like, right next to her, and you see somebody break in. You hear a scream. So they investigate next door. They get attacked by this cult couple. The man ends up getting shot dead by police, while the woman slits her own throat. Which is probably the best thing in the movie, because there's a bit of blood. That's it. That's because there's some violence, but everything else just... They're part of this cult that apparently is trying to summon a demon. Which, one, that could be a good story if you made it compelling. You just didn't. And we don't really learn more about... I don't know if they're trying to go for, like, a Manson kind of thing, like a Manson cult kind of thing. That's what it seemed like. But it's like, they didn't, commit to it in a way. They just, like, they just try to have that be part of the plot, but they didn't, like, they should have committed to it. If you're gonna do that, like, I actually don't mind that. Like, have some reason. Maybe the cult's attracted to the dog. Like, you should have did something more with that. That's actually not a bad idea. It's just they didn't commit to it. They just kind of... It's like they half-ass mention it, and then it's just, well, whatever, we'll move on. So, during this scuffle, Mia ends up getting stabbed but survives. Gives birth to her baby. Weird shit starts happening, and it's just your typical, like The Nun. The scares are just very generic. They're not, like, actually, like, the Conjuring scares, at least, especially in the first two movies, the scares are actually unique, and they actually try to make them, different. The scares in this, very much just basic scare, like, like, oh, let's play it. When Mia's, like, in the shadow, you can hear loud sounds, or even, like, the scene where she sees the ghost of the girl, like, attacking her baby. That scene, that could have been really scary, where the ghost is looking at her baby, and she's, like, passed out. That scene could have been scary, but they just didn't try. They just did your basic bitch scares. So then they go to Father Perez, who, I'll admit, was probably one of the better characters, but you don't get a lot of him, and he comes towards the end, because they're trying to wonder what's going on with this doll. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like I said, I was very checked out, like with the Nun movies. So I'm just gonna be honest about when I do these movies. I'm gonna be tuned out. It just seems like that's just been the trend with these. So I'm not like uber focused. And sorry if I'm not going uber into the story in detail. It's just because I'll be honest, guys. I was checked out by this point. It wasn't as like. And that's what sucks because these movies, I actually don't mind the idea of them. Some of them, like Annabelle, I don't think you really needed to do. Like, but the Nun, that's like the biggest one. You could have made that work and you fucked it up with it. You could have made Annabelle even work. I don't think necessarily. I didn't. We really didn't need to see Annabelle before the first Conjuring, but if you're gonna do that, you can make dolls creepy, and I just don't think this movie did a good job of it. Well, they didn't lead more into the doll creepiness because everyone has a fear of dolls, and it's like you should have leaned into that. I'm not saying go like Chucky because this isn't a slasher franchise, but I don't know. I just felt like they should have done something more. So they find out that the cult wants to basically bring a demon back. I'm assuming using the doll to do it. Then they managed. This is where they run into a character, Evelyn, who not a bad character, but this should have been its own movie. This, the more I think about it, this should have just been an original story, not at all tied to the Conjuring, because these just reek of cash grabs. They're like, let's take these movies. We could just make original stories, but we're just gonna take them and put the Conjuring name on it. That's what this reeks of to me. A lot of these spin-offs feel like that. Because you honestly, if you get rid of the Annabelle name and you just change certain things around, you honestly can't just make this its own movie. Like its own just kind of original horror movie about a creep and all. Yeah, take out the mention of the wards. Like you easily could tweak this movie to be something original. And he probably should have just did that because this adds nothing to the Conjuring franchise or the lore at all, in my opinion. This it doesn't like. Besides, like in the end, we find out, but we kind of knew that already that the Warrens took the doll and leave it in as a not a trophy, but as a like almost memorabilia for their history. But it's like we already know that. I didn't. That just felt like a tacked on. It was like, oh guys, here's let's mention the Warrens so we could get like guys, it's member like almost memorabilia kind of thing, like so we could tie it to the franchise, but in a very lazy way. Because the rest of the movie, it really doesn't. It plays like an original movie. They basically managed to banish the spirit, if that's how it ends. And yeah, Father Evelyn manages to sacrifice herself because originally Demon's gonna try to make Mia kill herself, but they managed. Evelyn goes in her place, and it's just Evelyn is the black lady you see throughout the film. Who just none of these characters, man, you can get into. It's just oh, here's this person, here's this person, here's this person. Father Perez could have been a good character, but nah, there's just he was kind of nothing to his character, nothing to a lot of these characters. Then 6 months later, we find out that the doll is taken somewhere else. The wards have taken the doll, and whatever. Fuck this movie. God, these spin-offs just are so bad, and that's probably what I'm going to title the video. The Conjuring spin-offs are all of them are shit so far. I want just one decent one. Just be decent. I'm not even saying it has to be good like that. Like just be decent. And I just don't think we will. It reeks of these were just made for a cash grab. They're like, let's instead of just making these some original horror tale, they're like, let's just put them in the Conjuring franchise and tie it to that so we can get some pity dollars because people like the Conjuring movies. So in from like because even three is like the weakest, but largely the Conjuring movies are well liked. So like, all right, let's just take the name, and that's what this is. Because none of these characters you actually give a shit about. The scares are absolutely generic. They're your generic scares you could see in any other horror movie. There's no uniqueness about them. And I understand the Warrens aren't going to be in these. That's fine. If you give me compelling characters I can follow, even if they're not the main characters. Fuck. Underworld had a spinoff, Rise of the Lycans. Um, that was a spinoff film, which I'll review one day since I did the other ones. But it it was it still managed to be compelling, even though it was a spin-off and it didn't have, Celine from Underworld. Granted, it had other characters from the Underworld world, but largely it didn't have the character you actually wanted to see. But it was still a great movie. So you can do a good spin-off. I really think you can. And they just can't, man. These guys, they clearly didn't care. They just took this what it reeks of to me. They took some horror movie they were gonna probably do that wasn't tied to the Conjuring, and they're like, you know what? Let's just tie it to the Conjuring for a quick buck, and that's what happened. You could just tell there's like no care put into these. Like even that ending where where it tells you the Warren has the doll, the Warren has the doll reeks of reeks of kind of like we gotta mention the Warrens so we can at least somewhat make it. Oh, it's part of the Conjuring franchise because we mentioned the Warrens. The other lazy thing I probably should have mentioned more about the video is just showing the doll just sitting there being creepy isn't creepy. It's lazy. It's fine if you do that shot a couple times, but there's a lot of that. They're like, we're just gonna zoom in on this doll because we gotta make it really obvious the doll's creepy. That's such basic horror shit. Like, and that's not even good basic horror. You gotta do something more than, oh, let's just zoom in really creepily on the doll and I'll make people creeped out. It's like, it might get some people the first time, but when you do it over and over again, it's not scary anymore. This the boy was like, oh, I was like, we get doll scary. Yeah, it's like, we get it. Doll scary. Move on. Do something else. Try something else to be scary instead of doll scary, guys. Yeah, that's what this movie was. Very lame. 4.5 out of 10. These spin-offs just suck. And I know I'm saying that a lot in this video, but that's what it feels like. It's like, were none of them good? Like, not even one. Like, so far, not even one was decent. I mean, Anabelle Creation and Comes Home, I think is the third one, I've been told are way better, or better than this shit, which, if they can turn it around, I'll be honest. But, it's just, I don't know, man. They clearly just wanted to take shit and just make it a cash grab, and it reeks of that. Because it's like, they don't even try with them. It's not like I think the actors are bad. It's just the characters you don't care about. And it's not because of, they're not the Warrens. It's just they're not compelling at all. The Father Perez character could have, because that dude is a good actor. I've seen him in other stuff. But it's like, they didn't give him anything to work with. It was like Father Burke in the Nun movies. It's like they didn't give him shit to work with. So it's like, good actor, but like, you can be a good actor. You don't have shit to work with. You don't have shit to work with, so. But yeah, that's all I can really say about these movies. I will be trying to do the X-Men video tomorrow. The reason I'm not saying I'm going to, because I've been passing out early lately. So I'm gonna gun to try to do X-Men First Class, or I might like just watch it early and then if I have time, I might try to review it earlier. But yeah, I want to. So I'll be talking about that later. Tomorrow, I do not know what I'm doing because I don't know when I'm seeing Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'm seeing it tomorrow or if I'm seeing it Sunday. I don't know yet. So depending on that, if I see it tomorrow, then yeah, I'll review it tomorrow night, and then I'll figure out what I'll do on Sunday. But then, and vice versa. If I don't review it tomorrow, if I don't see it tomorrow, then I'll for sure see it Sunday. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna cheers out, and I'll talk to y'all. I'm gonna try to talk to y'all later. If I don't, something happens and I don't do the X-Men video today, I'll do it like in the morning, like I did this one. So tomorrow morning. So all right, y'all.